Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about XP. Should it be equal across the board, and should it be fair to everyone? Welcome to Wizards of the Tower.
Roleplay.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking about XP in your games.
Yeah.
Should it be equal? Should everyone get the same? How should it be doled out? Other ways of adding XP into your adventure.
I'll tell you, there is very few sore points that you will experience in a game that are not associated with XP. Most people get sore and angry about XP. And a lot of times it's because they put a lot of effort into their person, their character, their game. And when they don't get enough XP and they feel cheated. And it's a real sore point.
Yeah.
So I'm not a DM. Delaney's a DM. So she's responsible for doling out XP. And she's been, sometimes in the past, she's been very generous. Other times not quite so generous. But typically Delaney is very consistent. Without sitting here and spouting, on my soapbox for 15 or 20 minutes. I have been in games before where we've had very inconsistent XP kind of deliverances. We've had very inconsistent rewards of XP. And it's always led to a lot of frustration, and I think we've lost players over it.
Yeah.
I think players have dropped out because of it.
Now, in first edition, XP was doled out based upon gold pieces and other things, and it would mean, and it wasn't fair. So for a fighter to get from first to second level was easier than a wizard to get from first to second level, and for a thief to get from first to second level was simpler than a fighter. So it wasn't equal across the board. So a wizard was harder to gain levels than it was for other people.
See, right there, I can see a sticking point.
Yeah.
When it's not doled out equitably amongst the classes.
Right.
Okay, so then you've got some problems. Why would you want to play the wizard if you knew it would take you forever to level as a wizard?
Yeah. Now, most games, XP is based upon a challenge rating of say, fighting the monsters.
Yeah.
And now you're rewarding your game based upon combat only, not anything else.
Yeah.
And the tougher the challenge, of course, the more experience points the characters are going to get.
Sure.
And of course, based upon how many players are in the group, that number is going to change. So based upon the challenge rating, based upon the number of characters and the level of the characters, the number can go up or down.
Sure.
But if everybody participates in a battle or a combat, everybody should get an equal amount. So if you've got a monster that's, let's say you've got 5 characters in the group and your monster's 1,000 experience points, well, everybody should get the equal amount of experience points for that creature.
Yeah. However, let's say, and we've been in situations like this before. Let's say you've got some min-maxers or power gamers in the group, and it's essentially a big guy with a sword, armor. You encounter some orcs, and they kill all the orcs themselves. Now, they may not do all the damage. Maybe you had the ranger hit him with some arrows. You had a wizard hit him with a debuff or something like that. And maybe the fighter needed some healing, and he got healed back up, and then he did some more fighting. But they basically take out the orcs with their sword, okay?
And you get the DM who says, I'm giving...
Yeah, I'm giving all the XP to the fighter because, the fighter did all the work. It's about that time that I would probably fold my book up and say, all right, well, You guys have fun playing because I don't feel like I did anything, so I'm just gonna go home and watch TV.
Yeah, that leaves a lot of frustration.
Yeah.
Because even though your cleric was there healing the party, and your dungeon master says, "Well, you weren't killing the monsters. You don't get experience points." The cleric was doing something.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems with awarding XP based solely on combat. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems in the game is because a lot of D&D and a lot of Pathfinder is constructed totally around combat scenarios.
Right.
Thankfully, Delaney's games are not like that, and we've had people leave. In fact, we had a player leave just recently who wanted a faster paced, combat oriented game. Well, we don't have that. We have a more intellectual game, and a lot of our XP comes from thinking your way in and out of situations. Yeah. And it comes from role play. It's from negotiation with a potential adversary.
Right.
And you end up with getting out of a fight and actually doing something different.
Right. You shouldn't get experience points just because you killed the monster. If you avoided a fight and negotiated your way through it, you should get the experience points.
Yeah, I agree.
And really, the system even says you should, but not everyone does that.
Well,
they think, well, you avoided it, so I'm not giving you experience points. Now, I, as a DM, reward experience points, if you role play. And I'm in this campaign, I'm actually being generous to everybody. Not everybody role plays as well as others. In the past, I've kept notes. It's like, he's really role playing this, and he's really role playing this. I'll give him bonuses. But then you've got the person who doesn't do any kind of role playing, and they feel cheated out. But if the group in general role plays, is how I'm doing it in this campaign.
So we've had episodes before about characters, people, game players who don't participate. They just sit there like a bump on a log.
Yeah.
And I'm torn between giving them XP for that. Now, I want to be fair and say, because you are in our game, you share in the rewards of the game. Okay, all right. But it's really kind of up to the DM and other players to try to goad that person into participating in the game.
Right.
I mean, if all
so
they do
just sitting there,
if all they do is just sit there and not do anything, and everybody else is role playing, all over and moving the whole storyline along, it kind of becomes one of those situations like, why are you even here?
Yeah.
Why did you even show up?
Yeah.
But I don't want to be less equitable like that, because I know that in the past, that's been one of the problems that people have with game players, is you get someone who hogs all the action in the game and no one can do anything, and they're the ones getting all the XP, and you're stuck at level 3 and they're at level 6.
Yeah. Now, I, as a GM, reward my players for journaling.
Yeah.
Tom journals in his books in every adventure,
yeah.
which I, as a DM, rely upon, because I may miss something in my notes, and I can go back to his notes. And then we've got one other player who journals.
Yeah, we do.
So, as far as the adventure going, they are actually moving further ahead than other party members because they're getting bonus experience points for journaling. They're going above and beyond what everyone else is doing.
So the thing is, though, is you tell everybody every time.
Every time.
You guys write journals, you write backstories, you write me additional information, you get XP for it. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
And I don't really even consider that extra XP. I consider that reward points.
Right.
You get reward XP for doing things extra, for keeping a journal of the game, for putting together a spreadsheet showing all the loot, for putting together a spreadsheet showing this, for drawing a detailed map of your thing, we've had that before where we had a character, not a character but a player, who drew this really detailed map of the dungeon that we were in.
Yeah.
You had the map of the dungeon, but no one else was drawing it. So one of the characters, in the game, we got together with some, ink and a piece of paper or whatever, and she was drawing this really elaborate dungeon, and that worked out, and it would really enhance our gameplay. So they should get reward points for that.
Right.
And I feel pretty strongly about that you should get reward points for doing things like that to the group.
Yeah. In the past, when I have started a campaign, I require everybody to come up with a backstory.
Yeah.
Not everybody is going to do it. they may just say I don't have any family and that's it.
Yeah.
And you've got nothing there. And in the past, before a game starts, when somebody hands me their backstory, if it's a good backstory and it really ties in, I'll give them a few bonus,
Sure.
a couple hundred experience points to
Sure.
start off with.
Yeah.
So they get that small leap above everybody else just because they went above and beyond to create their character and get some depth to their characters.
Yeah, that's kind of like reward points,
Right.
and that works out well. Now, the touchy subject, okay, and this is like the elephant in the room. When people don't show up to game, should they still get the XP that the other players get because they're technically still in the party?
I say no. If you are not there to game, you don't get to reap the benefits of what happened.
So I'm mostly going into that category. Okay, I mostly agree with you. If you don't show up, your players shouldn't get XP because showing up is half the battle, like my dad always said. And it's true. If anybody's ever worked anywhere, trying to get people to show up to work is like half the battle right there. Showing up is half the battle. Okay, so getting people who actually do show up, they should be rewarded for it, for putting effort into the game.
Right.
On the other hand, I can see where things could be where you've got essentially someone who, and we do this kind of in our game, is we play other people's characters if they're going to be gone for one time. Someone will say, would you like would you like my archer's character sheet? You can play her while I'm gone because I've got to go visit my mom next week. What do you do in a situation like that?
In a situation like that, I would give the character the experience points.
Okay, see, and that's my only sticking point.
Right.
Is if, and you do that. Yeah, that's great.
Now, if they hand me their sheet, and I'm the only one that got their sheet, and nobody else wants to play that character, I've got all my monsters to contend with, all the NPCs,
see, that's a
and
touchy
everything
part.
else.
That's a really
so
touchy
I've really,
part of it.
in there for a while in some games, I've played their characters, but when you've got 2 or 3 people missing,
Yeah.
and you've got NPCs, it starts getting tough. And I'm not going to do what your character would do.
Yeah. Now, of course, that leads to all these issues where, I gave you my character sheet and you played my archer, but now my archer got killed. Why'd you let that happen? It's like, I didn't let it happen. You just got overwhelmed. And we've had that before.
Yeah.
So that can get really touchy again. Long story short, show up to the game. Then you don't have to fall into those problems right there. Okay. XP is one of those things. It's very political. People get upset because they're not leveling. Why do you want to level? Because you want to enhance your character. You want to gain new spells. You want to get new weapons. You want to get new attacks. That's what you want to do because people want to have fun when they're playing the game and they want to enhance their character. It's only natural that you want to do that. It's only natural that you want to enhance your character by leveling up and gaining XP. That's totally what the game is about. And where it becomes really political and very sensitive is when no one's getting the amount of XP they think they should be getting. Whether it's a difficult progression or light progression or medium progression, different DMs have different ways of doing that. And that should be pretty much explained to characters when you're starting exactly how you're gonna be working that out.
Now, you also have the other side of experience points where the DM doesn't give you experience points, and they just say, you play 7 adventures, and they finally say, okay, you raise a level. You play 7 6-hour adventures, and they finally say, okay, you raise a level.
Yeah, we had that too. We had a guy do that. And eventually the game fell apart and none of us leveled. We played like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah. And
we never got any XP. And he was like, don't worry. At the end of this, I'm going to bump you guys up, and all this. And then he just quit the game. The DM just quit the game. And we never got leveled up, even though we had all this fighting and all this adventuring. And everybody's like, what happened? You just left us hanging.
Yeah.
we never got any satisfaction out of it.
There was no reward to what we were doing. We couldn't ever see the reward.
Yeah, it was completely intangible.
Now there are systems designed where you can do that, where the DM just says, "Okay, you raise a level." Maybe it's an adventure or two, or maybe they do something in the adventure. Okay, you raise a level. That's fine. But when somebody starts going 5, 6, 7 adventures, they're a 6-hour-long game, and they never raise a level.
Yeah.
They start getting a little frustrated, a little grumpy about that.
Yeah.
So you got to give people the rewards.
Yeah, they should get the rewards.
You can't just dangle the carrot in front of the donkey and expect the donkey to keep going.
Yeah, never get the carrot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just like a job. If you don't think there's ever going to be any rewards to your job, you're not going to stick around. You're not going to do the job.
Yeah, without getting too far into the weeds, where I work, promotions sometimes come very slow. And people have left the company when they found out that I could work here in this position for 2 years and never get promoted. They're like, I don't want that. I want to go to a place where I can get promoted every year.
So it's you got to give them.
You got to give people rewards.
You got to give the donkey the carrot once in a while instead of just dangling it over his nose, because eventually the donkey's going to say, "I'm not getting that reward."
Yeah,
it's like the dog. You teach the dog the trick, and if you never give the dog a reward for doing the trick, the dog's going to stop doing the trick.
Yeah, they're going to figure it's like, I'm not getting rewarded for this.
So rewards, experience points are that form of reward.
They are.
And whether it's equal, whether you're doing a top-notch job, a person who does a top-notch job, who's going above and beyond, in my belief as a dungeon master, should get more than somebody who does absolutely nothing but the bare minimum, showing up and rolling their dice. They never role play, they never give out any ideas, they never brainstorm with the party, they just don't do anything.
So here's an anecdote, and it doesn't have anything to do with role playing, but it has to do with music. And Delaney and I are real big metal fans, okay? So Ronnie James Dio, controlled his band. He was famous for being a very controlling in his band, delivering a great performance and a high product, high quality music and everything like that. So he gets guitarist Vivian Campbell in the band, and Vivian Campbell is this amazing guitarist. I mean, if you ever hear him play, he's just amazing. And so they go on tour, and they have a big tour, and Vivian Campbell's just getting paid money. It's just straight up salary, okay? And they go on tour, and they sell at the tour, and everybody, it's like a worldwide tour. And then they go off tour, and they're gone for a month or two. And Vivian Campbell shows up and says, "Well, we're getting ready to go on tour again. Hey, how about giving me some more money?" And Ronnie James Dio looks at him and says, "Well, you've been gone for 3 months. Have you done any songwriting? Done any work on anything?" And Vivian Campbell's like, "No." And Ronnie James Dio's like, "There you go.
Yeah.
No raise for you. I mean, we've been writing. What have you been doing?" So, as an analogy, that's kind of how it should be with gaming. It's like, where's my XP? Well, what did you do? Well, you're not participating,
I
Jan,
killed the orc, but that's all you did.
but you're not participating in our role playing, okay? You're just sitting there like a bump on a log. So reward points are not going to come your way. It's not just combat. Delaney gives reward points and XP for things like picking locks, solving puzzles, role-playing your way out of tough situations.
Coming up with a good idea.
Coming up with a good idea.
That I didn't even think about.
Yeah, a way to solve a problem that we didn't think about. So you get extra XP for that, and she's done that. And I've always felt, you know what, that's good. You reward somebody who puts out the extra effort.
Yeah. So I think we're going to end this episode of Wizards of the Tower.
Role play.
And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, spread the word. If you have ideas on XP, whether you agree or disagree, what are your ideas on XP? Should it be equal? Should it just be tangible, where you just say, okay, now you're X level? How do you do it? We'd like to hear about that.
Yeah.
So with that, may all your adventures be havoc.
And keep on rolling. Thanks, folks.